Episode 10 opens with a series of digital lines scanning across the darkness. They burn away the black screen, revealing CL, using her visor to analyze what used to be Roman and Neo's apartment for clues. Half a dozen Atlas texts are spread throughout the room, combing through every inch of personal effects. In the center, overseeing this, is Ironwood himself, glaring at a note which simply reads, "Time enough for me," in flowy, fanciful script. Next to it is a doodle in pink of a face sticking its tongue out. Ironwood scowls harder and folds it aggressively before tucking it into his pocket. From the hallway, there's a brief commotion as Ruby arrives at the open door, the guards posted there blocking her from entry. She huffs out, "General, I got here as fast as I could." Ironwood looks over at her, eyes cold. "I didn't call for you." Ruby is taken off kilter by the chilly response, and she glances around nervously.
Well, I mean, he's kind of my responsibility, isn't he?"
Ironwood scrutinizes her and silently waves her in. The guards let her pass, and he asks, "Do you know something that I don't?" Ruby rubs her arm, scanning the room.
"I thought that he had changed. Thought that Oz... I don't know, he was different."
Ironwood's face softens. "He was a criminal, Ruby." And Ruby shrugs.
"Well, he had the chance to run in Arcus, but he came back. And he hasn't tried to kill us once since he joined."
From across the room, CL shoots Ruby a baffled, disgusted look. Ironwood sighs and pinches his nose. That's hardly a ringing endorsement. Turning towards the window to the city, Ironwood adds, "We'll find him. There's no way out of the kingdom." Ruby slumps and looks out the window as well.
"Maybe if we'd given him a little more freedom."
Inhaling sharply, Ironwood's face twists in disappointment. "Ruby, have you ever considered he was a plant? He was lying through his teeth. Like Leonardo. Like Cinder." Ruby's defeated expression only sinks more.
"I'm sure it was Oz. I'm sure Roman had changed."
Ironwood needles in on that. "But how do you know?" Ruby is obviously conflicted, and for a second, she parts her lips to speak. CL's voice breaks through the moment. "Sir, we found how they hacked the cameras." Ironwood looks to her, but before he heads over, warmth re-enters his face, and he rests a comforting hand on Ruby's shoulder. "Don't worry. We'll take care of this. You can go." He leaves to talk with CL, and Ruby watches him for a second. She turns back to the window and looks out at the city as the streetlights flicker to life. We pan down to Mantle, to one of said streetlights switching on. With the darkness washed away, we're treated to an image of Penny staring towards the camera. The camera pulls back and the world begins to lighten up, revealing Penny looking at us to be a reflection of the real one, staring into a well-kept storefront. Beyond the glass is a display of Penny-themed merchandise, boldly celebrating her as the Defender of Mantle. She steps forward and rests her hand on the window, eyes never leaving the cheerful pictures depicting her flying through the sky with a smile on her face. After a moment of lingering, Penny pulls herself away and steps back from the window, and launches up into the sky, vanishing around one of the buildings down the street. The camera pulls back in the opposite direction, revealing the opposite crossroads to a novelty bar called -451, that sells itself on being completely outside in the cold. Yang and Blake are standing on the sidewalk beside it, the former reading over the day's specials before they're approached by Flint and Neon. Greetings are quickly exchanged and the four begin to head off together down the road. Flint glances over at the duo and asks, "You girls ready for some hard labor?" Yang rolls her eyes and flexes her arm. "Please, have you seen these guns? This will be a cakewalk." Blake tilts her head at Neon and Flint. "I'm surprised you're interested in volunteer work. I heard you two like to focus on the bigger picture." Neon shrugs the comment away. I don't mind helping with the small stuff from time to time." And Flint adds, "Helps the pay is good. Dr. P knows how to treat his volunteers." That earns a flat stare and a wry comment from Blake. "How noble." Flint shrugs and motions to his trumpet. "What? Upkeep is expensive." Neon laughs and poses playfully. "You don't end up this cute and a complete ass kicker without shelling out for the best." Taking a more dignified pose, she goes from playful to prideful. "Gotta set a good example and all that." Yang raises a brow. "Who are you trying to impress?" Neon tilts her head. "Well, everyone, I guess." She skates along, her mood sobering. "Might not look like it, but it's still pretty fresh to have Faunus at the academy. People still aren't really used to it, so there's a lot of pressure." Giving Yang and Blake a glance from the side, Flint elaborates. "We had to kick up a fight for her to make it into the semifinals. Meeting after meeting." Spinning around to face them, Neon groans. "An absolute slog? But Flint, Colt, and Ivory had my back." For a moment, Neon is thoughtful, but perks up with determination. "And because of them, everyone in Atlas had no choice but to cheer for a Faunus.
Because it wasn't just a Faunus up there, it was there at Legion Champion. Neon pumps a fist in the air victoriously. Yang can't help but snicker. Until Weiss and I kicked your butts. Neon rounds on her with an exaggerated scowl. Oh, and don't you think I've forgotten about that. You got lucky. Resting a hand on her hip smugly, Yang replies. Any place, any time. Blake is quiet during this exchange, mulling over what Neon said, and finally asks, "Are you really okay with that?" Neon breaks from her stare down with Yang and blinks at Blake. What? Frowning, Blake elaborates. They weren't cheering for you, they were cheering for their team. Doesn't that miss the point? Neon raises a brow, confused. Does it, matter? Blake's ears fold. They should have respected you as your own person. Neon blinks before realizing what Blake is trying to say. Well, yeah, but it's just part of the process. You can't rush it. Neon spins to a flourishing halt next to a bus stop where a large Atlas recruitment poster has been placed, one featuring only Faunus. Neon is a second in line, between an otter Faunus and a familiar-looking dog Faunus. See this? Worth more than its weight in dust. A decade ago, we were kicking our Faunus out of the kingdom. Now, we're a selling point. Blake blinks at the poster. Isn't that just exploitation? And Neon shrugs before linking back up with their group. Well, duh, of course it is, but it's showing us off as a positive. I'm not some token Faunus, I'm a poster girl. Blake is skeptical, but Flint elaborates. The guy in front saved a lot of lives a couple of years back in a mining accident. He's a local hero. Neon retches. He's a real goody two-shoes, but he's great with the camera. You want a real hero? She slaps the otter Faunus. Protected a whole Outland village by herself when the Grimm started acting up last year. People love her outside of the city. Looking directly at Blake, she shrugs. My point is, we're getting there. Sure, it sucks at times, but you gotta keep plugging along. Slow and steady, you know? Blake goes quiet, face pensive, as she mutters out uncertainly. Maybe. I don't know. Silence stretches out between them all, so much so that Yang absently comments, So, this is awkward. Flint very smoothly waves his hands through the air. Let's mix up the beat. You guys got any plans for the solstice party? Blake raises a brow and Yang blinks. Solstice party? Which prompts Neon to skate up to Yang, dumbfounded. Don't you know? It's only the biggest party of the year. Flint nods. Everyone gets together to see the sun off for the season. Bunch of partying across both cities. Neon grabs Yang's hand excitedly, bouncing on her heels. Oh, you should come out clubbing with Flint and me. We know all the best spots. And ooh, I've got some blush that's totally your shade. We'll make you look so pretty now that you've taken off those gaudy hair extensions. Yang awkwardly draws her hand back with an annoyed smile. Yeah, maybe. I'll have to see what everyone else is doing. While not really picked up on by Flint and Neon, Blake takes note of Yang's discomfort with a soft frown. Neon hops back excitedly. You won't regret it. Oh, this is going to be such a blast! She throws her hands up in fervor, and it takes Flint resting a hand on her shoulder to bring her down. Dial it back, girl, you're overselling. Neon pouts. I am not. And the two devolve into a round of playful bickering. Blake continues to look at Yang skeptically until a noise catches her attention. Looking forward, she calls out, Why is there so much traffic? All eyes fall to the street, where a long chain of hover trucks are being held up, going the same way the quartet are heading. Some drivers have even gotten out of their cabs and started to talk to one another, disgruntled by the standstill. Flint frowns. That's where we're going. Looking to each other, the four move much more quickly down the road, more and more disparaged by the unmoving traffic. They come upon a warehouse where the standstill originates, a mess of trucks in a veritable knot trying to enter and exit the facility. Fiona is out front, struggling to direct traffic. She sees the four, and catching Blake among them, waves to her pleasantly. This pleasantness slips away when she sees Yang clearly, but we're not left time to linger on it. One of the trucks near her honks its horn, making Fiona leap and cover her ears. She puffs her cheeks and stomps her foot as she glares up at the driver. I'm right here! Looking at her scroll, she quickly compares it to a number on the truck's side and groans. No, this isn't a delivery spot, this is a pickup. You're in the wrong place. If it's not an emergency shelter, it's not a drop-off. While she says this, a different man comes up to her to show her a scroll. When she sees it, Fiona's eyes almost bulge out of her head, and she swipes the man's scroll to stare at it. That's not right, we're supposed to be Mansell only! Rubbing a temple, she points to the first driver. You get to Zell Street. Then to the second driver, she walks back into the warehouse. You come with me, we have phone calls to make. Only to stop when she sees someone loading crates onto a truck. No, you stop! Green labels only! Growling in frustration, she shoves the second driver's scroll into his hands and stomps over to the boxes. Where's the Garv Boulevard crew? They get the red labels! The second driver, unsure what to do, meekly follows after. Yang, Blake, Neon, and Flint watch the flurry of motion curiously, dozens of workers zipping in and out of the warehouse, all wearing eclectic outfits not normal for this line of work. Brows furrowing, Blake asks, "Are these people huntsmen?" Neon nods. "Probs? The Happy Huntresses are a local militia thingy?" Flint rolls his eyes. "Not a big fan of how Atlas does things, so they group together to do their own thing." Yang shrugs. "Weird." This content and the rest of the content on Celtic Phoenix is brought to you by the wonderful people supporting the channel through Patreon. For just $1 or more, you can gain access to the Tundra Discord server, where you can interact with me and a whole host of my fellow internet colleagues, such as the other members of Team Frostbite and the Team Jacked podcast. Become a part of our regular bad fanfiction nights that happen every Friday night at 10 PM Eastern Standard Time by joining our chat and adding your commentary to the reading. You can also join by becoming a member of the Celtic Phoenix YouTube channel, with the additional bonus of gaining access to a bunch of sweet emoticons during every one of our streams, such as the Team Jacked podcast, which airs every Wednesday at 6 PM Eastern Standard Time. But if either of those are too much for you, you can always subscribe to the channel, enable alerts, like this video, and share it around to all your friends. Thank you all so much for watching, and we now return you to your regularly scheduled fixing. The four approach cautiously, catching sight of Pietro in his bulky chair out front, rubbing his brow at the backup while trying to square it away on his scroll. They walk up to him, all curious. Flint is the one to ask, "What's going on, Dr. P?" Pietro's worried face lightens seeing the four, but not much. "Just doing a bit of outreach. With the shortages that are on their way, I figured people would benefit from having stocked food stores before it hits." Neon blinks at the long line of trucks. "All of this?" Which gets Pietro to laugh. "I don't want for much, and most of my lien is just building dust in my bank account. Decided this would be a better use for it." From just inside the bay doors he's sitting beside, we hear an enraged voice carry out, "You had no grounds to give that reroute order." Walking out, staring daggers at her scroll, is May Marigold. On the other end is a well-dressed man who responds coldly, "We need those supplies." May cuts him off. "Everyone needs these supplies. You can't just go over a councilwoman's head." He sneers back at her. "I can when the councilwoman wants to waste her time on tanneries. They don't need anywhere near as much as you're delivering to the..." Again, May cuts him off. "Everyone in Mantle is under Robin's protection, human and Faunus. They get the same share, Alderman, and you will not go above her head again. Am I clear?" After a moment of silence, the man straightens his tie with a grimace. "These supplies will go to those who need them." To which May responds coldly, "They certainly will." Almost breaking her scroll as she ends the call, May pockets it and looks over to Pietro. Her mood only seems to sour more, if that's even possible, when she sees the other four standing there. Frustration on her sleeve, she asks, "What are they doing here?" Flint shrugs. "We're here to help," only to be cut off. "I didn't ask you." "Pietro?" The man waves to them, tired but relaxed. "I thought they could be some help, since we're short-staffed." Another glance to them, and May shakes her head. "We don't need help from Legion hunters." To which Neon asks, "Wait, didn't you go to Atlas?" May just rolls her eyes like Neon said something incredibly stupid before continuing with Pietro. "Let's talk." Uneasy, Pietro looks to the four apologetically. "Sorry, kids. Be just a moment." Pietro and May walk deeper inside the warehouse to have an animated discussion, which eventually draws in the already stressed Fiona. The quartet watch on, trying to listen in over the noise of all the honking. "What's her problem?" Yang asks, and Flint shakes his head. "Told ya, the Happy Huntresses have always been uptight with Atlas." Neon slumps over his shoulders and rolls her eyes. "If you ask me, I think it's trouble in paradise." Flint rolls his eyes back and peels Neon off his shoulder. "Come on, you know the Marigold Hill thing is just tabloid rumors." Neon dismisses it with a wave of her hand. "Please, it's all the talk of the town. Towns, even. We all know Marigold is as romantic as a rock." Blake's ears rotate at the idle gossip, and she glances over to Yang to say something. Instead, she finds Yang uncharacteristically engrossed by a message on her scroll. We get a good glimpse of it, and it seems to be a message from Neo, a single line confirming, "Had to bail, watch yourself, will be in touch." Yang stares at it with concern before Blake gets her attention. "Yang?" Yang looks up with alarm and awkwardly tries to hide the scroll. Yeah, everything's fine. Great, just, you know. Staring at Blake's face and seeing the doubt never once leaving her eyes, Yang slowly sags in defeat. Nervously, she peeks over Blake's shoulder, where Flint and Neon are still locked in a heated gossip session. Looking between them and Blake, she grabs Blake and pulls her in close before showing her the message. It takes a moment for Blake to process before she hisses. "Did you know?" Yang's shoulders rise. "Of course I didn't." "Well, I may have maybe said something." Blake's eyes harden even more. "It was your idea?" Yang has to shush Blake as their volumes begin to climb. "I didn't know she would do this. She was miserable. They were both miserable." Blake blinks in disbelief. "Yang, they're criminals." Yang's frustration grows in mirror to Blake's. "They saved our lives like ones of times. Besides, it's not like we're much better. We were all ready to break into Argus to get here." Blake pushes back. "We needed to get here. All they needed to do was stay put until Ozpin returned." Flint's voice calls from overtop their huddle. "What are you two whispering about?" They both turn around, Yang smiling with faux innocence while Blake is still clearly frustrated. Nothing," Yang says, looking for an escape topic. "We were just talking about how you two would be a great match yourselves. You know, the gossipers never think to gossip about themselves." Her words end on an awkward, hopeful chuckle. Neon rolls her eyes. "Please, he's way too high maintenance for my tastes," which earns a raised brow from Flint. "High maintenance? Please, you just know you couldn't afford me." The two devolve into a small bicker match, and Yang sags with relief. But Blake still looks conflicted, glaring sideways at Yang, when Yang gently takes Blake's hand in her own, whispering, "I trust her. So trust me, okay?" After a moment of hesitation, Blake exhales the tension and elaborates. "It's not her I don't trust." Thinking it through, Blake amends. "Actually, I don't trust either of them." This earns a chuckle from Yang, and they both look up to enjoy the playful argument spiraling out of Neon and Flint. All this comes to a stop as May returns, with Fiona and Pietro in tow. "Leave," she says bluntly, which prompts Pietro to maneuver his way off to the side as a physical mediator. Now, Miss Marigold, there's no need to be rude. I did ask them to come here." May closes her eyes crossly but doesn't bite back. "Please leave," May says diplomatically. "We don't need any of Atlas's help to make this happen, and we especially don't need any bad publicity from hot-headed foreigners." At this, Fiona shrinks a little bit behind May, eyeing Yang judgmentally. This doesn't go unnoticed, and Yang is taken aback by the insinuation. Pietro finally chimes in with his own opinion. "I think it would be best if you all go home. Don't worry about the pay. I made a promise and I intend to keep it, even if I don't have any work for you to do." Flint and Neon perk at that, and seem somewhat pleased, while Blake and Yang are clearly less so. Flint asks, "I mean, we're not gonna turn that down, but you don't have to." Pietro shakes his head. "Least I could do for bringing the four of you all the way down here." Neon and Flint share a look, then look to May and Fiona before shrugging. "Well, guess we'll head back. Call if you need us." May, still staring at them coldly, replies, "We won't." Awkwardly, Flint and Neon walk off down the road. Blake, very uncomfortable, turns and says, "So, Yang," only to realize Yang is no longer beside her. Instead, Yang is walking right past May and Fiona, who are baffled as she brazenly approaches a pile of crates. Fiona screams after her, "Hey, didn't you hear?" Yang interrupts her by hefting one of the crates over her shoulder almost effortlessly, and asking, "Red Label Cigar Street, right? Which truck is that?" May and Fiona stare at Yang, not sure how to process it, and Yang nudges that forward by explaining, "I came here to help, so I'm going to help." Blake smiles wryly at Yang and walks past May and Fiona as well, lifting a box, though with much more effort than Yang. After a moment, May sighs. Fiona hops in place, confused but scrambling to look at her scroll. Truck 33. Wordlessly, Yang directs her and Blake back towards the parked cargo trucks, and the two walk off to deliver their crates. May and Fiona watch them, scrutinizing them, only to turn and find a smug, smiling Pietro. Shaking her head, May tries to ignore it. "Maybe having them help will be good," Fiona expresses nervously. "As scary as that Xiaolong girl is, we're struggling. All the girls are pretty tired." May's foul mood returns. "Fine then. You deal with them." Looking down to Fiona, she nods up towards the trucks. "I have a call to make." Tiredly, Fiona nods and rushes off to instruct traffic once more. Walking back towards a lonely corner, May dials up Robin on her scroll. Robin appears, seemingly at a different distribution site teaming with workers. She seems equally as tired as May and Fiona, especially when she asks,
"Please tell me it's going more smoothly with your team."
May scowls. Not when there's an alderman breathing down my neck and sniping our shipments for his own districts. Cursing under her breath, Robin is apoplectic.
"That makes 3. We're already stretched thin. We can't afford to be losing shipments anywhere."
May asks back, "Is there any way to stop them?" And Robin responds,
"I've got connections pushing back where they can, but everything will be said and done by the time anything happens."
May scoffs at the situation, so we just have to bite down and deal with it. Great. There's a second of silence before Robin speaks up.
"Well, we have other options."
May's eyes widen, horrified. Robin, no, not them. Robin shakes her head, her exhaustion coming through clearly.
I know, but we're in a corner here. People are already starting to panic. If we don't do something before the food runs out, we could see riots. Or worse.
Closing her eyes, May seems almost in pain at the prospect. They're dangerous, Robin. If word gets out... After a moment of quiet, Robin replies, softly.
"I'll be careful. I promise, May."
Considering the option, May allows her shoulders to relax in defeat. If you think that's best, you know I have your back. Before she hangs up, Robin replies,
"That's how I know it'll be alright."
Call ended, May stares at the blank screen with sunken eyes. She pockets it and walks away towards the camera, obscuring it. We cut to Robin walking away from the camera in one of Mantle's grungier parks. She approaches a bench and sits down. Soon enough, someone else joins her on the other side of the bench, though they're obscured at first by the camera angle. Robin starts, the two never looking directly at each other. Thank you for meeting me on short notice. A clawed hand comes into frame as a familiar voice comes from the other figure. Oh, not at all. Supporting you is our only goal. In fact, I'm surprised you haven't made more use of us. Our colleagues have been getting restless. Robin's eyes harden in frustration. Too dangerous, too volatile. The donations have been enough. I still think Sienna was crazy to send anyone up here. The camera pulls back to reveal Cinder as she shrugs, leaning back into the bench with a confident grin. Her arms are guised in long gloves, each bearing animalistic claws that appear to come out of her fingertips. Looking out for a friend isn't crazy, especially with the Mistral CCT down. My employer does, however, applaud and appreciate your reservation in her letters, even if I don't think it's quite so necessary as you think. Robin frowns at Cinder. That reservation is what got me elected. Cinder is unfazed. And yet, now you need our help in a more direct way, I take it? Robin turns away and threads her fingers together tightly. The greenhouse disaster is being downplayed, but the resource shortage is going to be more extreme than the people realize. I'm the least likely person on the council to break the deadlock, so I need to find a way to help people through other means. Cinder's claws click together. Our means. Robin's face remains stoic. There's one last major SDC shipment coming home in a few days from now, and more it's looking like they'll be split between a couple of corporations and the military. If we could get our hands on even a fraction of those supplies. Cinder hums in consideration. The Schnees often have pretty tight security. Robin nods subtly. Normally, the military secures those transports. It's one of the reasons they have such a strong claim to the supplies. Cinder's head cocks to the side slowly. I'm sensing a but. Fingers tightening around each other, Robin's jaw hardens. The ship doesn't have an escort. The returning Argus air fleet was supposed to do it, but for some reason they're not. I tried to figure out why, but my sources couldn't say, and it's impossible to trust anything on the network with 2 of the 4 towers down. Rumor and speculation are making things impossible to get a read on globally. Inspecting one of her nails, Cinder agrees smugly. That they are. You needn't worry, though. If everything is as you said, you can rest assured our colleagues will make all of your dreams come true. Despite retaining some tension, Robin sinks with relief. I'll send you more info over the encrypted line. Cinder nods. Much appreciated. She rakes one of her claws through the air performatively. If I scratch your back... The tension begins to rebuild in Robin's shoulders, but she answers with resolve. Ironwood's inner circle has grown. I don't have much on them, but they're eclectic. A veteran huntsman, some greenhorns, and some criminals. Almost all of them are from out of kingdom, which baffles me considering the embargo. As Robin speaks, Cinder's smug grin melts away, eyes sharpening and lips becoming a terse line. Little Bird seems to know quite a lot about this group. No names, though? Robin shakes her head. I don't know what to tell you. Little Bird only tells me so much. Cinder tries to reestablish her confident charm and only partially succeeds. I'm sure if I were to talk with this bird of yours, I could get us both all the information we need.
At this, Robin raises a brow.
I'm already pushing my luck. I don't think you get any warmer reception.
Robin's eyes narrow and she adds,
especially since you've been ducking my request to speak with Sienna directly. Mediators are fine, but now that I'm elected, we need to talk about the next stage of our cooperation.
Cinder's reply is warm and practiced, taking faux offense.
My, are you that appalled at working with our humble little club already?
She uses a knuckle to wipe away a fake tear, much to Robin's irritation.
And here I thought we developed such a good rapport.
Sobering up from the sarcasm, Cinder becomes more relaxed and confident.
No worries. My employer is quite eager to meet you as well. It is unfortunate that matters in Mistral have kept her occupied, but we have been looking into ways for the two of you to meet face to face to negotiate. Navigating the embargo is our biggest concern. It wouldn't do to have such a fine political figure arrested at the door.
Robin's unamused face doesn't shift. Standing, Robin brushes out the wrinkles in her outfit and levels a harsh glare at Cinder.
Tricky as that may be, I can always pull some strings. Give me a time and a place and that door will be open for her.
With an earnest smile, Cinder replies,
certainly. My employer has big plans for Atlas. I'm sure she's eager to get your help with that.
Wordlessly, Robin looks to Cinder one last time uneasily before turning and walking the path to leave the park. Cinder watches her go, still smiling as she gets up herself and walks the opposite direction. The smile slips off her face, first into a scowl, then into a bitter smirk.
Big plans indeed.
Cut to black, end of episode.